Hello friends, and welcome to CJoy Yoga. There's going to be a couple of little moves that we're going to do to kind of explore our posture in regards to getting headaches. This may or may not be helpful information for you, but I want to go ahead and just go over a couple of things, right? One of them is our posture and how much it affects the muscles of the upper back, the neck, the jaw, and all of that then of course starts to affect all of the nerve endings and things that run up into our head. And just having poor posture can often cause our headaches, right? There's also tension headaches, a lot of emotional stress and physical stress, and starting to have the same kind of things happen. And we'll address that in another video. But for right now, just the idea of posture and headaches, right? And how they affect each other. So more often than not, this may or may not be you, but the majority of bodies that I work with, mine included, end up moving into this place where our hips are a little bit forward, right? And then when our hips move a little bit forward, we tend to round our back, our upper back, a little bit behind us, and we let the head come forward. Now, the chicken or the egg, which came first? Did we have this posture, and because of that, we started to go in that dowager's hump and we're always, in that forward position? Or is it because we're constantly in a rounded position these days, texting and driving and whatever? So maybe you were born this way, maybe we created it, but either way, it's not a very good position. Something that I just learned yesterday from my chiropractor and neurologist is, because Crystal had a big old fat headache yesterday, right, is that this is what we would consider proper posture. I'm probably not perfect with it, but I try, right? Where the head is right over the shoulders, which are right over the hips, which are right over the heels. And then we have the architecture of the body, of the bone structure that's holding us, and there's a little less muscular effort. If, however, we start to bring that head a little forward, which is the posture I just showed you and what we often do, right, to text or whatever that is. If I bring that head, it's about 13 pounds, the brain, the skull, everything in it, right? I call it the 13-pound bowling ball. So here it's about 13 pounds, but it's resting on a beautiful structure, and so the body doesn't really feel that, right? It's not unhealthy for the body to hold that. If we move that head about an inch forward, that now doubles. So now that's a 23-pound bowling ball, and all of this musculature is trying to hold that up. If we move it a little bit forward, which to me looks a little bit more like what people look like when they're texting or when they're doing their computer, now I'm talking about 33 pounds, right? If I move about 4 inches, and I might be a little further than that, I can't gauge it entirely, but now I'm talking about 43 pounds. And when we're in this posture, right, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. 53 pounds suddenly this is for these muscles to try to hold up. I'm going to go into one more little lecture and then we'll do a little exploration. Your jaw, there's a big old muscle right here in your jaw. You can bring your fingers up there and you can feel that, right? And if that jaw, right, if that muscle starts to tighten, it pulls that lower jaw up into the top jaw. That muscle also runs all the way up through your temporal region, right, and up into the brain. So this is arguably the strongest muscle in the body. Different people have different opinions, but many schools think that this is the most muscular, the strongest muscle in the body. So if I pull up on that muscle and I'm clenching my jaw all the time, I am causing 50 pounds of force to go up into my upper jaw, to go up into where my pituitary gland is, up where my brain is, up into my skull, all of the fascia that starts to come up over the head. So that force, that 50 pounds moves up and it starts to come over and down, and it starts to come into your neck and your upper shoulders. So if we can change the relationship of our jaw, we can start to change the entire relationship of the muscles of the face, of the back of the head, right, and the shoulders. So those are just some food for thought things as you start to work with your body. And even just now I'm catching myself. I'm about 2 inches in front of where I'm supposed to be. So I've got about 33 pounds of weight that my body has to hold up, right? This is something I deal with on a regular basis. So the first thing we're going to do to explore our posture is we're going to stand up against a wall. So you don't have to have a mat for this at all. I want you to go ahead and I want you to bring your heels against the wall, and the feet can be hip distance. It's not about balance at all. It's literally just about playing with your posture. And if you bring your heels up to the wall without really trying to do anything and letting your body go where it naturally wants to go, notice where the rest of your body is compared to the wall. Maybe the buttocks are against the wall, right? And again, don't effort. If you're efforting, then you're not telling yourself the truth, right? Let your body just kind of fall into the position that it would naturally be in if I wasn't here talking to you about posture. Hard, I know. And as those heels go against the wall, right now, my shoulders are throwing forward and my head is probably about a good 3 inches away from the wall. That's where my body would love to go every single time, right? So just note for yourself where yours is, and then we're gonna play. Keeping the heels against the wall, I want you to go ahead and I want you to root down, push down into the feet, particularly the heels, and get the thighs to start moving back, right? And they don't have to touch the wall, they won't. There's gonna be a little bit of space there, but they do move back towards the wall. And then pull the frontal hip points up a little bit and let the buttocks flesh move down, right? If I was against a wall, I'm asking for this action. So the low back gets nice and long. Now I want you to stay rounded forward just for a moment and see if you can get the low floating ribs, these guys right here, right behind the kidney band, or just up from it slightly. See if you can get them against the wall. And then try to keep them against the wall as much as you can. But now go ahead and see if you can also lift the chest up, soften the shoulders, get the backs of the shoulders and the shoulder blades to try to come against the wall, flatten against the wall. Again, if you do that and the ribs pop out, at what expense? Find the balance between the two. This is going to take a while to open if you've been in this position for a really long time. So don't think it's going to happen today with one time, yeah? And then from there, bring the back of the head against the wall. Pushing the heels down, the root to rise principle. As I root through my heels, the crown of my head lifts up towards the sky. Soften the shoulders down away from the ears. And this is, right, I'm not looking at your body. I wish I could. But this is much closer to proper posture than where you started, potentially. So just feel this in the body. And then I want you to try to keep as much of it, right? Don't lose it, step forward, and then try to find it all again, but rather keep that. Go ahead and step forward with the right foot, step slightly forward with the left foot, and act as if there's still a wall behind you. Heels against the wall, thighs moving back, frontal hip points pulling up, buttocks flesh moving down, right? Low floating ribs stay against the wall, but so do the shoulders, and so does that back of the head. This part being, it all is affected from the feet up, but this part being the main piece that we're thinking about for the posture of the head and the neck, for headaches, right? For tension headaches or regular headaches. So can you stay in that position? How difficult is that? Practice it more, it becomes less difficult, I'll tell you that. I've changed my body so much. And then from there, our next move, you're going to be just enough away from the wall, but you can stay right there. If you want to come to the mat, you can, but don't lose everything and try to regain it, right? You're going to go ahead and you're going to grab onto your elbow points. If elbow points aren't accessible, you can grab onto your wrists, right? But try to walk out on those forearms as much as you can and see if you can get to the elbows. Now, when I do that, my arms start to shove my ribs forward, and I'm no longer against the wall in the same way, that imaginary wall. So push the heels down and back, move the thighs back, buttock flesh down, frontal hip points up, low floating ribs up, soften those shoulders back. It's a little more accessible potentially right now, grabbing onto the elbows. Don't let it round you forward, let it pull you open. Back of the head against your imaginary wall, crown of the head reaches up. And how does that feel? And how does this feel? Is this super duper tight and difficult for you right now? That's an indication that you could do stretches to open up your front body because they're really short because they haven't had to be open for a really long time or very often, right? So one of our first steps to getting into that proper posture and starting to heal the body or open it so it can heal itself more appropriately is opening up that musculature. Now, go ahead and put your other forearm on top, whether that's from your wrist cross or from your elbow cross, and notice how this side feels. And again, try not to let the ribs jut out. Try to keep that length in the back body, shoulders moving back gently, back of the head against your imaginary wall, and the crown of the head reaching up. And take one more breath, inhale. See if you can inhale directly into this part of the body. The lungs are right here, by the way. And exhale, release those hands and let them come on down. So we're going to do one more. Actually, we'll do two more in this exploration, and then we'll let it be. And then I'm going to also make a sequence you can do specifically to come in and just do sequences without the lecture part. But this is really informative, yeah, if you let it be. For this one, you're going to reach your right arm straight forward and up. And again, you can still be by the wall, just be aware it's behind you. Go ahead and reach that hand back like you're going to pat yourself on the shoulder. You're going to bring your left hand in, and you're going to rotate that arm into the face. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to start to lift that elbow up to the sky. Now, don't let the ribs jut out to the side, right? Keep the ribs in neutral. Keep the whole body in neutral. Keep the back of the head against that imaginary wall. And see if you can go ahead and start to lift that elbow up. You can leave the arm low. You can lift that over your head and start to lift the elbow up. So why this one? I really want you to check into what's happening muscularly right through this part of the body. If the arm can't come up higher than this and the shoulder starts to get really tense and tight, or this won't allow it to open, then again, that gives us information about what tightness we have and what might be preventing us from moving towards that proper posture. It's so important, right? It's not because your mother says you should look a certain way and proper posture. It is because in order for the spine to form, to do its job, it needs to be in proper posture so that it can innervate, right? Send all the information out through our nerve systems. You'd still be in this position anyway. Don't worry, I'm just talking while you're holding. All the blood that runs through there, right? Go ahead and reach that arm up. Reach both arms up. As you reach through, try to lengthen that part we just lengthened. Notice the difference between the right arm and the left arm. There may or may not be a difference. Shoulder injury, friends, you can always leave it lower and just try to work the same stuff. And then soften those upper trapezius down. And if you notice that those keep gripping, well, boy, that could be a good reason that you're getting headaches. Not good, but that could be the reason, one of the reasons you're getting headaches. And bring those arms all the way down, right? These upper trapezius, they tend to take over and they do a lot of stuff for us, whether it's stress and tension or whether it's lifting things up and doing things, and they bulk out. And boy, when those things get really big, can you imagine how I end up in this forward hump again? Yeah? So reach your left arm forward. Go ahead and pat yourself on the back. Right arm is going to come up, hand, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to rotate the arm into the face and leave it a little lower. You'll get there eventually. Don't rush into it, right? And once you find that, keeping this rib neutral, don't let it go anywhere. You're going to start to lift the elbow up and just kind of find out where that arm goes. You're not impressing anybody by shoving the elbow up and taking yourself out and cramping, right? We are trying to find functional movement so you don't get headaches anymore. Take your time. Maybe that arm comes up over the head. Maybe that elbow reaches up a little further. I'm never going to bring that behind my ear line. That's just a hypermobile shoulder, and there's a whole bunch of other things with that, right? I'm just trying to find that length through this part of my body. I'm trying to keep this really, really soft and not let it engage and lift up. And if it does, I would suggest you come down to the point where it is not turned on. I can even feel it with my left fingertips, right? And I can put my fingertips on it and go to the point right before it engages and work from there. Inhale and exhale. You're going to go ahead and you're going to reach both arms up. And again, this time I want you to think of lengthening and lifting the arms from this musculature, but soften this musculature down. And that might be a little wide, that might be a little forward. You can find out what feels good in your body. And if I put you against a wall right now, would the back of the head be against the wall? Would the back of the shoulders be against the wall? Right? And get nice and tall. Inhale. And exhale, bring those arms down. Maybe take a couple of shoulder rolls. So there are a number of things that I could add in here, but that's just an introduction as to where you're holding yourself, right? And how if we start to hold ourselves in that proper posture, that may start to open up our spine and may start to help us get rid of those headaches. And some of these other things just helped us find some of the musculature we might need to work on in order to be able to stand up or sit up nice and tall. So hopefully that was helpful for you. And again, please look for the Yoga for Headaches sequence, and that will be less of me talking about all of this and lecturing you, and a little bit more of you trying to move through a sequence to open that up. Namaste.